May I speak and may we listen in the name of God, who is Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. I'm not particularly sure when I first saw this image, but it is an image which has stuck with me and made a profound impact on me for quite some time. It stands out because of who is in it, and because of the many interpretations we might make at a first glance. Are they actors? Is this some kind of staged shot? What, or even who, are they staring at? How long ago was this? And just what, if anything, are those white nuns protecting those young black men from? I think it's fair to say that our image of nuns is one mostly of civility, not of confrontation. Perhaps not dissimilar to our images of Jesus. So we wonder what these holy women are doing in this picture. Our image of nuns is one largely shaped by films like The Sound of Music, or A Nun's Story with Audrey Hepburn, or for younger folk, Whoopi Goldberg in Sister Act. But the nuns in this picture are not the singing and dancing type, at least not today. No, they have decided to put their bodies on the line. And not just any line, but this particular line. This image is one from the 10th of March 1965, and on that particular morning, 6 brave, courageous, wisdom-filled nuns, who clearly feared nothing but God, boarded a chartered plane headed for Selma, Alabama. God knows what their bishop would have thought, but they'd answered the call not just from God, but from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who summoned all people who were on the side of justice, on the side of God, to join the voting rights marches in Selma, Alabama. Clothed in their full-length traditional habits of black wool and white veils, the nuns joined other demonstrators in a voting rights march which began in Selma and was headed all the way to Montgomery. In reality, these nuns, and those who began the march with them, only walked for about a block before they were stopped by troopers and the sheriff. But that short walk, that small decision to leave their convent and join the march at Selma, shifted how people understood what it meant to be a person of Catholic faith in civil rights America, in a world in a time of crisis. What it meant to proclaim Christ crucified in a world where black and brown bodies were being demeaned, dehumanized and destroyed. And their decision gave other religious people, nuns especially, the opportunity to question the relationship between the space their bodies occupied in the monastery and the space black bodies occupied in American streets. It made Roman Catholics in particular question what the link was between the Second Vatican Council, still happening at this time, and the civil rights movement. What was the relationship between what the Catholic Church taught and what people were experiencing in America? It led to many women leaving the monastic life as it was known, to take up activism and scholarship as nuns in plain clothing and beyond the monastery walls, thinking about what God had to say about the injustice of racism, as well as issues of gender and sexuality. And by the time the march reached Montgomery 3 days later, its front line contained Martin Luther King Jr., Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, the Greek Orthodox Archbishop Yakovos, and at least one nun whose name I couldn't find. I wonder if the words of the prophet Isaiah were not ringing in their ears on that day. Those words that we heard this evening. Thus says God the Lord, who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread out the earth and what comes from it, who gives breath to the people upon it and spirit to those who walk in it. I am the Lord, I have called you in righteousness. I have taken you by the hand and kept you. I have given you as a covenant to the people, a light to the nations, to open the eyes that are blind, to bring out the prisoners from the dungeon, from the prison, those who sit in darkness. In this Holy Week, we are challenged to think about the body of Jesus. As we journey to the cross throughout this week, we journey with him who put his body where his heart was, in a particular place, at a particular time, for a particular purpose. Jesus models with his flesh the kind of life the church should have, laying down its life for the life of the world. As St. Irenaeus said, in the 2nd century, our Lord received the body he has, one which is human and divine, so that he might vanquish in Adam that which had struck us in Adam. To journey to the cross is to journey to that place where the dark, relentless, all-consuming power of evil, betrayal and sin cannot be denied, where we face head-on that which had struck us in Adam. Places not at all dissimilar to the front line of the Civil Rights March, the jungle of Calais, the foot of Grenfell Tower, the gates of Auschwitz, the beating heart of Tigray, Ethiopia, the bloody streets of Myanmar, or a Clapham Common filled with mourners. Each in their own way speak to the reality of sin, that which had struck us in Adam. Those places where it seems as though evil has won, where it appears as though death has had the final word, where we wonder if that which struck us in Adam might strike us again and win. And when I think of the cross, and of the dark, relentless, all-consuming power of evil, I'm reminded of this image and of where Jesus put his body. It's easy to miss it, but in our reading from John's Gospel, just a chapter beforehand, we have the death of Lazarus. John takes us into the stench of death. We hear it recorded that Lazarus had been dead so long that it stank. And then in our reading from John 12, we have this complete contrast of a place filled with perfume as Mary washes the feet of Jesus. And in between that stench of death and that place filled with perfume, Jesus puts his body and says the words, "I am the resurrection and the life." As though to go from the stench of death to the beautiful perfume of eternity, Jesus has to place himself that we might move from one to the other. Jesus, Father Richard Springer says, puts himself time and time again where his body might break. In the vulnerability of a Bethlehem manger, the wilderness of the desert, at the center of the empire, alone with a woman at the well, between a righteous crowd rolling stones and a person accused of adultery, into the hands of Pilate, onto the cross. And again, this evening, Jesus makes himself vulnerable as he is placed into our hands, present in bread and wine, his flesh and his blood. In going to the cross, Jesus puts his body between us and all the forces of hell. And those nuns seem to know what it means to be a follower of Jesus in a time when people are catching hell. They know where to put their body. They put their bodies where Christ would have and has put his. Seems to be important every now and again, particularly in Holy Week, for us to look carefully at where Jesus in Scripture puts his body. Because when we look at where Christ puts his body, we realize that what is challenged isn't so much the reality of God, but all our human ideas about where God can, cannot, and might not be, or might not work. All our ideas about what God can or can't do. Christ goes to the cross with his own body, not another body. He goes to the cross and sheds his own blood, not the blood of another. He goes to the cross with his own life, not with another's life. And we too, if we are to renew the life of the world, may have to put our bodies where Christ puts his. We might have to be willing to put our bodies where they might break. Like those nuns, we may need to leave our comfort zones and meet Christ on the front lines of justice, staring evil in the face, like Christ did for us upon the cross. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.